Hey everybody, this is Jordan Watwood with Financial Peace University. We are going to be doing a webinar this afternoon. I appreciate you very much showing up. I got about 4 of you on the line so far. Why don't we hang tight for a minute or two longer and see if we can get a couple more people to join before we get started. Just so you know, a little bit of housekeeping. This webinar system, I'm doing a screen share, so hopefully you can see my slide deck. I'll just be talking while we look through some slides. You are all muted, and most of the reason for that is that it creates some really weird audio problems if we've got multiple people unmuted at the same time. So you will have questions as we talk, and I encourage you to find your webinar control panel and find the little question section on there and submit any questions that you have. And I'll answer those throughout. We'll have a time for Q&A at the end. So just wanted to give you that heads up. So let's wait for a minute or two longer, and then we'll get started. Hey, Brian, thanks for chatting. Also, I am going to do my best to keep this webinar to about 30 minutes. So we'll be moving through the content pretty quickly. I am recording this webinar, so you will have a chance to rewatch it afterwards if you desire, or share it with other people who maybe couldn't attend the webinar that you think should watch the content. If you don't catch something the first time around, don't worry, you will get a chance to rewatch it later on. All right, let's get started. So all of you should have been present at the ICSC conference last week or 2 weeks ago in Chicago. You may or may not have had a chance to see my talk, The Real Reason Catholics Don't Give Generously. It was on Monday afternoon. But I got a good bit of feedback after giving the talk. People really thought it was an eye-opening talk, a great talk, and I thought it'd be helpful to do a webinar version of that talk for anyone who wanted to watch it again or wasn't there to see it the first time. So if you saw the talk the first time around, this will be a refresher. Otherwise, this is going to be new. So to get started, I want to give a little bit of context about who I am. I work for Ramsey Solutions, which is a Dave Ramsey company. And Dave is a personality on the radio. He had a television show for a bit there. He's a published author. He is a personal finance guru, and it's his mission in life to help people get out of debt, save, invest, and give generously. I am Catholic. Have been a lifelong Catholic. And prior to coming to Ramsey Solutions, I actually worked in the stewardship space for a number of years. I was a consultant with Catholic churches around the country, helping them develop stewardship initiatives. So we did a lot of campaigns where people would commit to giving of their time, talent, and treasure, and helping parishes create plans, strategic plans for getting more people involved in their parish community. So stewardship is something that's near and dear to me. During my time at, working with stewardship, I became very interested in marketing. And then when the opportunity for Ramsey Solutions opened up, it was really cool because it felt like a combination of my love for stewardship and my love for marketing. I work in the Financial Peace team, and we'll dig into what Financial Peace is a little later in the webinar. But it has allowed me to merge both of my passions. I started off my talk at the ICSC conference with a problem. Kind of the reason why everybody was wanting to join or participate in a talk on the real reason Catholics don't give generously. And so the problem is that over the last 20 years, we are seeing less parishioners being engaged in prayer, whether coming to Mass or engaged in personal prayer, and less involved in ministries, and then less generous. If they're not coming to Mass, they're likely not involved in the parish ministries, and then they're not very likely to be giving generously to the offertory. And for folks who are really passionate about stewardship, or their role is stewardship or development in a diocese or a parish, that's a real problem. In the last 20 years, church membership is declining. Gallup did a survey and found that, this is sad, but they found that of all the denominations in the United States, Christian denominations, Catholics membership is declining the fastest or the most over the last 20 years. In 1999, 76% of Catholics belonged to a parish, and this year that number has dropped down to 63. So it's close to a 20% drop in Catholics who belong to a parish, which isn't good for stewardship. Only 12% of Christians actually tithe, which means they give 10% to the offertory. It's done in a study by Barna, which means that 88% of Christians are either giving less than the tithe or giving nothing at all. So what are Americans spending their money on? If they're not giving it to the offertory, what are they spending their money on? And so I took a look at a study done by mentalfloss.com and found that Americans in 2017 spent $32 billion on pizza, $4.6 billion on fantasy football, $26 billion on bird watching, which I think is super interesting, that way more people are spending money on bird watching than fantasy football. I don't know. I hear a lot more about fantasy football than I do about bird watching. Just saying. $26 billion in cosmetics, $81 billion on lottery ticket sales, $31 billion on flowers. This is positive, $410 billion given to charity. You know what else Americans are spending a lot of money on? It's debt. Check out these statistics. In just the first quarter of 2019, Experian did a survey and found that Americans owed $9.5 trillion on home loans, $1.5 trillion on student loans, $1.3 trillion on car loans, and $810 billion on credit card debt. Those are some humongous numbers. In the past 10 years, student loan debt has more than doubled. It's the fastest growing consumer debt category there is. It's almost twice what we owe on credit cards right now. It's crazy. When Financial Peace University and Dave Ramsey got started 25 years ago, credit cards were enemy number one. If you've ever followed Dave Ramsey, you probably have seen pictures of him with a pair of scissors cutting up credit cards. Credit cards were the enemy. It's interesting that in just the past 10 years, student loans have quickly risen to eclipse credit cards, almost twofold. So we go back to the original question, what is the real reason that Catholics don't give generously? Well, we think that it's debt. We think that people in your pews or in your communities want to be generous with their time, with their talent, and with their treasure, but they can't because of the debt. Think about it like this. It just doesn't impact the money. It doesn't impact just the giving. But if you are burdened by debt, you are probably spending your time either worrying about the debt or having to work extra jobs because of the debt, or both. So that's going to keep you from spending time in prayer. That's going to keep you from being engaged in ministries, and it's certainly going to keep you from being able to give more. But it doesn't have to be this way. There are some practical steps that you can take to help the people in your parishes. What they need is a proven plan, something that's been working for millions of people for many years, a path to freedom. And I'm going to provide you with 3 things that are practically can help someone remove the obstacle of debt so that they can engage more fully in stewardship. And this is something that you could provide to your parishioners as guidance. We talk a lot about the importance of getting involved in your parish, of spending time in prayer and of giving to the offertory. But I think as Catholics, we don't enough give our parishioners practical ways to remove the obstacles that are keeping them from doing that. It isn't as simple as just saying that people aren't interested in being involved in the parish or interested in giving. In a lot of cases, they simply don't feel like they can, and they need a path. They need a ladder out of that hole that they've dug with debt. So here are the 3 steps or the 3 actions that you can take. So the first one is you need to help people understand how to budget. Dave likes to say that budgeting is telling your money where to go. And if you don't tell your money where to go, it's going to find a way to leave, right? We like to say, and you don't want to find that you have too much month at the leftover at the end of your money, right? Like you don't want to, if you aren't budgeting, if you aren't assigning every dollar to something, those dollars will find a way to just fly away. So teaching people the importance of budgeting is one of the first things that we need to do for our parishioners. And there's lots of ways to do that. There's budgeting apps out there. There are budgeting courses. There might be some folks in your parish that are finance professionals that could provide a budgeting course. But 78% of Americans today are living paycheck to paycheck. That would indicate to me that they are not being intentional about a budget. And that doesn't just fall on people that are lower on the income scale. That's people who are making decent money as well. So budgeting is a problem in America today. And that's one of the first things that we should do is teach people how to budget so they can tell their money where to go. The second thing is teaching people how to save. I think most folks in America today live a little bit or a lot of bit above their means, and they aren't putting money towards paying off debt. They aren't putting money towards savings. They certainly aren't putting money towards giving to charity or their churches. So teaching people the importance of budgeting and teaching them the importance of saving, that you need to live below your means and put money into savings. And then the third one would be paying off debt. So if you're teaching them how to budget, assigning every dollar a destination, if you're teaching them to save, particularly saving for emergencies, so that when a crisis does appear, they don't have to then reach for the credit card or refinance the home or something to pay for that emergency. And then having them work through and systematically pay off their debt by debt. If those 3 things can become a plan that will help your parishioners get out of debt and be able to live and give like they've always wanted to, and be good stewards in your community. So there's lots of ways to teach this. One of the things that I want to share with you is that there is a course that we have developed that will teach this and more, and it's a turnkey experience. It's extremely easy for you to share with your parishioners and launch in your parish, and that is Financial Peace University. So I'll give you a quick overview of what Financial Peace University is, then tell you how you can start financial peace in your church, and then we'll open up the floor for some questions. So over the past 25 years, nearly 6 million people have gone through Financial Peace in the United States. This year alone, we have 20,000 Financial Peace University classes happening all over the United States. It is a 9-lesson video course that is taught by Dave Ramsey and his teaching team. Each video is about 45 minutes to an hour long, so there is no need to teach Financial Peace University. There is only a need to facilitate the course. Dave does all of the teaching, and I'm going to show you what the different lessons, the different 9 lessons cover. So you remember the 1, 2, 3s. I talked about budgeting, saving, and paying off debt. Well, the first lesson is going to cover budgeting and helping people learn how to save their first $1,000. We call this the starter emergency fund. The second lesson is going to be teaching them how to pay off all of their debt. And we use a technique called the debt snowball, where you start with your smallest debt, pay that off, and then move up to your bigger debts and create a snowball effect where every debt that you've paid off, you put that money towards the next debt. Number 3 is what we call a fully funded emergency fund. So 3 to 6 months of expenses, rainy day fund, something so that if a big tragedy happens or like say a job loss happens, you aren't scrambling. You have money to be able to methodically go find new employment. Lesson 4 focuses on investing and building wealth. So this is about your 401k, maybe a Roth IRA, how to make smart choices when investing and building wealth. Number 5 teaches you how to be a smart purchaser and not to fall victim to marketing schemes out there. Number 6 teaches you the types of insurance that you should have. Dave really dives into some of the myths with insurance. There are certain insurance products that insurance companies would love us to buy that just aren't smart to do. And so Dave really kind of demystifies the whole insurance game. Lesson 7 talks about retirement planning. Lesson 8 is real estate. So folks who might join your class that are interested in buying a home or selling a home would be interested in this lesson. And then the final lesson in Financial Peace is my favorite, and it's outrageous generosity. And this is where Dave kind of pulls it all together and says, you know, if you have done it right and you have saved, you have paid off your debt, you are making wise decisions, you are budgeting, and you get to a point where you have done all of those things. Now it's time to be outrageously generous. And he says there is no more fun way to use money than to give. Giving is the most fun that you'll have. So this outrageous generosity lesson really dives into the fun you can have with being generous and blessing people in your community. We say that Financial Peace University is simply God's and Grandma's ways of handling money. It's not rocket science. It's only 20% head knowledge. It's 80% behavior. The thing that makes it so difficult for people to happen to their money and not allow their money to happen to them is that behavior part. And so throughout the course of the 9 weeks, it's enough time for people to learn and to put some of the principles into practice. You'll have the opportunity to go through a few budgets and stumble through those. If you've never budgeted before or done it the right way, it can be a little bit funny at first. It's a chance for those who are married to have some disagreements with their spouse about the ways that they're spending money, to help communication start to become more healthy in that area. So the 9-week program really provides all of the time that you'll need to be able to do that. And here's what's cool. On average, Financial Peace University members, 90 days after the class, have paid off $5,300 worth of debt. These are people who felt like they were drowning before and then are figuring out through budgeting where all of their money was going and being smart and intentional with it and paying off debt. 90 days after, on average, Financial Peace members are saving $2,700. That's an $8,000 turnaround when you add up the debt paid off and the amount saved. For churches, we find that 90 days after, on average, Financial Peace members double the giving at their parish community. And this is interesting as well. For classes that happen in a church, we've found that on average, 30% of your class members will come from outside of your church community. So if you're looking for a way to reach out to the greater community and invite people into your church community, FPU is a great way to do that. It doesn't come across as overly churchy. So people who may be weary of stepping inside a Catholic church might find it a lot easier to get involved through a Financial Peace class, and then it provides you the opportunity to love on them, to welcome them, and to answer any questions they have, and have them hopefully become a part of your parish. So what does it look like to be a Financial Peace University member? I just want to show you a few snapshots from some of the folks that have gone through FPU. So here's Zachary and Lauren. They worked like crazy and in 10 months paid off almost $85,000 of debt. Zandra paid off her minivan in 7.5 months, and her kids are doing a happy dance. Kate paid off $32,000 in student loans in just 12 months. That's pretty impressive. Rachel paid off her car 1 year early. These are all people who are hustling, who are being what we call gazelle intense because they believe in this step-by-step plan of Financial Peace University, and they're putting it into action. So I wanted to be able to show you some real-life examples of what could be possible. Think about that for your parish community or your diocese. If people were like Rachel or Zandra and were paying things off early or paying off all of their student loans, like how much more generous could they become with their time, talent, or treasure in your community? So I want to transition into helping you understand how to get started with Financial Peace University in your parish or your diocese if this is something you'd be interested in. So there's really just 3 steps that you need to take. The first one is you need to create a class. Our team can help you do this. And you would simply just say, I'm interested in having a class at my parish or my diocese, and I want to lead it around this time. You want the class to happen at whatever time. I would say that right now, where we are in the calendar year, a really great time to lead a class is the new year. So many people make a New Year's resolution to get out of debt. They're going to be looking for a Financial Peace University class. If you go ahead and set up a class now for the new year, you'll have plenty of time to get the word out, and it'll be there waiting for people when they make those New Year's resolutions. So right now is a great time to create a class for the new year. The second thing you got to do once you create your class is spread the word. We provide you with a full bank of tools and resources that you can use to get the word out in your own parish community as well as outside of your parish community. And whenever you create a class, you have the option of putting that class on our website, which gets millions and millions of hits each week. And people will have the chance to see your class when they're searching for financial peace, and they can join your class. So getting the word out is number 2. And number 3 is just getting together. When you raise your hand and say you want to lead a class, we provide you with all the materials you need to do to lead the class. The videos, the leader guides, all of the materials you need are there. All you need to do is just get people together and then take them through the content. There's no teaching that's necessary. One of the things I think is cool is, on average, 40% of our facilitators, we call them coordinators, 40% of our Financial Peace University coordinators have never taken the class before and choose to lead it and take it at the same time. So it's extremely easy to do. I lead Financial Peace University classes throughout the year myself, and the last time I led the class, I simply walked in the door, opened up my leader guide, and was able to read the prompts and lead the class. It's as easy as that. One of the things that I want to mention for all of you, and I mentioned this to the folks I talked to at the booth during the ICSC conference, is they would ask, how much does it cost to bring financial peace to your community? And you can do it for free. All of the materials that it requires to lead the class, the videos, the leader guide, the different promotional assets, all of that stuff is available digitally on our website. So when you set up your class, you'll be given access to a dashboard with all of that information. So there isn't anything you need to buy to be able to lead the class. By virtue of saying, yes, I want to create a class, you'll be equipped with all the digital assets for free. You can choose to purchase physical materials for an upcharge, and we have a physical hardback coordinator guide as well as a DVD library that you can purchase. And you can purchase those things combined for around $50, but it is free if you choose to do that. Now, each of the families that gets involved in your class and joins your class will need to pay for their own admission to the class. We call it a membership. And right now, memberships for class members cost $99. So the reason that we want class members to pay as opposed to giving it to them for free is a 9-week class that has true life transformation take place in it is something that people need to really be bought into, and they need to have some skin in the game. And so by making them pay a certain amount, they're less likely to abandon or jump ship, and they're more likely to stick through the class. So we think it's very important. You as a parish can choose to purchase the memberships on behalf of your members if you would like. And a lot of churches do that, and then they will resell those to their members. And you could resell it at full value, or you could resell it at a partial cost. But I would encourage you that if you're interested in doing the course at all, make sure that your members are paying something so that they have some skin in the game. I want to give you a quick preview of what the coordinator dashboard looks like so you can see the product in action. So give me a second here, and I'm going to switch over to our website. There we go. Okay, so this is your coordinator dashboard. This is where you will be able to manage your course and encourage people to join. So when you get to your dashboard, you've got a navigation on the left. You've got a few sections on the home page here where you can add a class or see any classes that you have in progress. There's a training section. One of the pluses of being a Financial Peace University coordinator is you get EveryDollar Plus for free for a full year. And that links with your bank account and allows you to track spending in real time. So it's a great budgeting tool. Down here, we'll have different deals and perks. And then this right here is your impact. One of the activities you do in class is at the very beginning of the course, you ask your class members to tell you how much debt they have, and how much savings they have, and how many credit cards they have. And then when the class is done, you ask them to do the same thing, and then you see how those numbers have changed. And generally, you'll see credit cards being cut up, you'll see money being saved, and debt being paid off throughout the course. If you go over to your classes section, this is where you can jump in. I'll take you through one of the classes that I did last fall. You can jump in and manage attendance. You can message your members. Again, your snapshot. You can access training, you can ask questions, and you can contact your advisor. We pair every coordinator one-to-one with one of our financial peace advisors. That's a staff member here at Ramsey Solutions that will walk with you every step of the way as you prepare and lead your class. You can add members to your roster. You can share the memberships that you have purchased with people in your class. I mentioned you could take attendance. This is just a quick view of the attendance. There's a really cool messaging feature where you can send emails before and after class to attendees and absentees to make sure that your members are staying on top of their homework and getting the most out of the class. There's also some promotional materials that you can download, some flyers and posters, some printable banners, some social media images, some social media text. We have a series of videos that you could show, some digital slides, and some talking points. So there's a ton of great, rich information on here that you can use. I mentioned resources and training. We've got downloadable versions of your guides, some lesson recaps. All of the video lessons are on here. So everything you need to lead can be done digitally from your dashboard. I want to open it up to questions now. So if you have any questions as you've been listening, go ahead and type those in. And I am going to, in the meantime, grab a link that I want to share with you so that if you do want to get started and set up a class for free in your parish, you'll be able to do that. So go ahead and add some questions. I see a few of them coming in now. I'm going to pause my screen and grab this link, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, unpausing, and let's take a look at these questions. So I've got a question from Brian. What is your history with running the class during the summer months? So that's a great question, Brian. So here's the thing with financial peace, it's interesting. Like people are in need of getting out of debt all the time, regardless of what month it is. We have found that the folks who are willing to take the class during the summer can often be more dedicated to coming to the class because it can be an inconvenient season for a lot of people to attend financial peace. You might find that you have a smaller class, but a more dedicated class. Now, I'll say that, but I'll also say this. A lot of times parishes and other churches around the country are doing less during the summer, so they can make a bigger deal about financial peace and put more effort towards promoting that within their community because it's the only thing they have going on. And in those cases, you might have a larger class. The only things I would say is be aware that folks will probably have vacation in the midst of it. It's okay for people to miss a class or two. You can still have them watch the videos on their own and then get back together and talk about them. But just keep that in mind so that you are understanding that from week to week you might have some people that are not there. But nothing wrong with doing it during the summer. Some folks who do classes during the summer feel compelled that that is the time that they will do it, and they refuse to do it any other time. So more power to you if that's what you choose to do. We have a question from Jonathan. Do you have class materials in Spanish? So we do not offer Spanish Financial Peace University materials, but we have a good friend named Andreas Gutierrez who has developed a Spanish version of Financial Peace. So my guess would be if you Google FPU in Spanish, Andreas Gutierrez, you'll find a link to his website where you can access FPU in Spanish. And it goes through the same information that we provide in English, it's just in Spanish. If you'll check out your question or chat panel, I'm going to post a link here real quick. This is a link that you can click on. It'll take you to a page where you can fill out a quick form and will allow you to start the process of talking with one of our team members about setting up a financial peace class for free in your community. So if you're interested, click on that link, fill it out. I will also be sending out an email probably tomorrow to all of you with this link in it so that you can set up your class. I also want to give you a chance to experience all of FPU for free by yourself. So I'm going to be submitting in that email an access code for you to experience FPU, all 9 lessons digitally for free. So look for that email. It's going to be coming out either later today or tomorrow at some point, and it'll come to everybody who registered for this webinar. So you should get it, and you'll get more information about leading a class and about FPU in general. Any other questions? I've gotten 2 so far. Anybody else who's on the webinar have a question that I might be able to answer about financial peace and about getting the class started in your parish? We'll give it a minute or 2, and then we can wrap up the webinar. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I don't see anybody else typing anything in. You all should expect an email from me with more information. I appreciate you giving me your time this afternoon, and I hope this webinar was helpful for you. As I mentioned, it is recorded in the email I send out later with information about leading a class and getting your free access. I will include the link to the recording, so look for that. God bless you all, and thank you for the work that you are doing in your diocese and in your parishes to promote stewardship as a way of life. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.